everyone. My name is Emily Mitchenfelder. I'm speaking for Mental Health America, Greenville County today. So I'm just going to briefly go over my experience as a volunteer with the 988 Lifeline. Today, I stand before you to share a deeply personal journey, a journey that has profoundly transformed my life over the last 2.5 years. It's a journey that began with a simple decision to volunteer for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, a decision that has opened my eyes to the power of compassion, empathy, and human connection. I started my training in January of 2021 and was immediately surprised by the intensity of the call simulations. I found myself failing to properly connect with the pretend callers due to my priorities being in the incorrect place. I wanted to solve all their problems and did not properly recognize the reason that they had called, to be listened to. I struggled throughout training and eventually found myself in the phone room preparing to take my first real call. When my phone rang, I answered with shaky hands and greeted her, trying to hold my voice steady. I was so nervous that I kept interrupting her, and on top of that, I wasn't familiar with the resource that she was looking for. Eventually, she ran out of patience with me, indicated that it was clear that I didn't know what I was doing, and said that she would call someone else. My heart sank, and I fought back tears. I was ashamed, embarrassed, and disappointed. All that time that I had spent training and preparing for the call didn't end up mattering, and it had been a complete disaster. It took me weeks to rebound from the shame that I was feeling. As time went by, I still found myself struggling to properly connect with our callers, often getting hung up on. I was extremely discouraged. I considered conceding defeat and just quitting. But I ended up speaking with Nicole, our wonderful volunteer coordinator, and we decided that I would triple my time spent in the phone room just to see if the additional experience would help me out. During this time, I focused my efforts on practicing my soft interpersonal skills. I had become so fixated on the concept of solving our callers' problems that I had forgotten the most basic rule of answering the calls, active listening. My performance shifted noticeably once I was able to correctly prioritize what I was doing. I was more in tune with our callers, no more awkward interruptions or disgruntled hang-ups, thank God. I was able to effectively convey my empathy and make deeper connections with them. It had been a long road, so having constructive conversations made me feel as though I finally achieved what I originally wanted to when I started volunteering. Now, I had just started working night shifts when I got the most challenging call that I had had up to that point. It was almost 3 in the morning when the phone rang. I picked it up and was immediately hit with the sound of music blasting. I tried to invite the caller to talk, but I wasn't sure if they could even hear me over the music. I waited a minute and then finally heard a man's voice. He told me to hold on just a minute, and I obliged, curious on why anyone would call from what seemed like a club. A moment later, he came back to the phone, now clearly walking down the street, cars rushing past him. He started by telling me that his life was worthless. He told me that his daughter hated him, and she had been the only person that he could even care about anymore. He called himself a worthless alcoholic and told me that he wanted to just step into traffic and end his life. We talked for an hour, with him breaking down and telling me about all the decisions that he had made, all of his mistakes, and how badly he wished that he could go back and have a second chance. But he felt like he was too stuck in his past and the choices that he had made to really improve at all. Now, over the hour that we talked, the call had de-escalated a little bit, but it wasn't at a point that I felt comfortable starting to work on a safety plan for him. He still sprinkled in little quips here and there about how he felt like his life was worthless or how he still just wanted to end it all. However, I didn't have a choice on the call ending. He said that his phone was starting to die, so he was going to let me go. He's going to walk into a bar and try to find a phone charger. And he asked if I would call him back in an hour. I said that I would, and he hung up. I took another call, and the night continued. After the hour had passed by, I called him back, fingers crossed that he would answer. He picked up on the second ring and asked if it was me. I confirmed that it was, and he immediately broke down crying. He had been so sure that I would forget or choose not to call him back. And that night was the first time that I ever had a caller directly tell me that I saved their life. I've had many impactful experiences throughout my life, but that remains one of the first moments that comes to mind when I think about a time that changed my life. Sorry. Over the last 2.5 years that I've been with Lifeline, I've changed and grown an incredible amount. I've refined my ability to overcome challenges and truly connect with others in unusual circumstances. I owe nearly everything that my life is now to Lifeline. The confidence and knowledge that I've gained throughout volunteering has really changed my life. So thank you to all of you, because you've really made a difference. Sorry. If you guys have any questions, I'd